it out yesterday, but that's okay. Got rolling in. All right, viewers, hello. We'll just start this off. Obviously, you guys all know Hashoshi. He's much more popular than the rest of us. And then we've got myself, Damon, CMO of Charli3, and then wonderful Mr. Sean over there from So we was like, we wanted to get away, talk about some gaming, engage with you folks in the community, and that's where we're at. And what do you? I mean, that's how I feel. I know Sean had some opinions on that.
Well, I mean, I'm a huge gamer, so absolutely, I'm totally down to talk about gaming at any time.
Sean, what games are you playing right now that you're really into?
So I guess right now I've been playing a lot of games to try to like relax before going to sleep. So I have a backlog of games. I think everybody does. So like on Steam, but I have a PS4 backlog, and so I've been playing the first Spider-Man on there because I want to play the new Miles Morales. So I started picking that up. I was pleasantly surprised about how fun it actually was, being able to just like navigate around the city and stuff like that, and the web action works really cool. So that's been really fun. And then also Mortal Kombat, just started playing that one. I haven't played the latest one yet, actually. So I have a huge backlog. How about yourself?
I'm pretty variable. I mean, I kind of came up playing the like massive multiplayer online games, like the RPGs. Like my original life was, people will tease me maybe, but I was a huge RuneScape guy. Just love that game, Of course.
Yeah. I think we're all there with you, man.
We all know about it, right? But yeah, RuneScape was just like the OG. And it's like grooming you for understanding economies and how people work when you're a kid and you just want to, chop logs and stuff.
For pure addiction as well.
Yeah, not totally untrue. And I mean, that was a big thing. But of course, other games, the first person shooters are fun, a little heavy to just like sit there for hours and hours and hours to do. But, big soccer fan, football fan, as it should be called. So I play FIFA, stuff like that, like a wide variety of games.
Yeah, that's great. I think having a good like variety is key for gaming. Like sometimes I'll just get like super sucked into FPS things.
Yeah.
And it's like great for half a second. And then I just, I'm bored now, I want to do something else. Yeah.
Or it's
go
it
ahead.
just like makes you, it like gets you amped, or you're like, you're not playing well. So it's like, do I really want to do this thing? I'm supposed to be decompressing and I'm just like getting agitated,
Yeah, I have that dilemma as well. It's like sometimes I'll be playing like a battle royale or something like Apex, and I'll be getting frustrated, and I have to stop and think, I'm supposed to be relaxing. I need to step away, and I'll like hop on the Switch or something and play like Harvest Moon just to try to like
that's 0 to 100 there, on switching. Like you're going fast pace battle arena to hanging around a farm,
it's great though.
Yeah, Apex is the thing I play right now. It's like I find it really easy because just like you, Hashoshi, I used to like do a lot of MMOs in the past, like WoW, and I was telling Sean right before we jumped on here, I eventually got into like a top 20 world guild like way back in the day. Man. And it was stupid. I was like 7 to 8 hours, like minimum. I'd have to play that game a day just to stay up to par for the team to actually do the rating. And by far the most fun I've ever had playing a game. Like community was amazing. I love the story. I'm a big fantasy guy. Like by far the most fun. But like I couldn't do anything else with my life. So I switched after that, and it's still in the same spot. Under my desk over there, is I took my gaming rig and I shoved it under my desk and everything else with it, and I've only been on my laptop since then and my console games, and I've just switched PS so I can play a quick match of Apex or something and then just shut it off whenever I want. It's not dependent on other people, but I do wish I had more time for like community type gaming. Like that's so good.
Yeah,
I think there's some good crypto stuff that's like community type stuff, right, Sean?
Yes, absolutely. So I guess there's one game that's coming out that I'm very excited for, and that's Cornucopia, the island. I don't know if you guys have heard it.
Yeah.
Hashoshi, you know about it? Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Super exciting. And I guess like one thing that comes to mind that I'm very excited about, I know I just mentioned Harvest Moon, like I love the Harvest Moon series, Stardew Valley, games like that. So in the Cornucopia, the island, you can actually farm in the game, but you can actually sell your crops and what you create for real life money. So it's not like you're wasting your time, you know, and your time just goes away. It can actually contribute to, you know, funding your life, you know. So I think that's really cool.
I just messaged them right now. Just for the viewers, I don't know how many we have. Like I said, I can't see my stinking stream. As we were trying to get them on right away beforehand too, but it's a little bit late. And I was just messaging them there while Sean was talking. And yeah, I think they have a great project. I mean, it's not too like overbearing. And this is where I think the community aspect comes into it. Is like, I think if something is like really, really high level graphics or something, it can be intimidating for regular people to want to. Game mechanics are too high of a barrier of entry or something like that. But
yeah,
because it's more like low poly count, kind of cartoonish, like really easy games, I think it's going to be really, really good like hub for people getting into gaming and having that community aspect. And I'm pretty excited about it too.
Especially with, I mean, the low barrier of entry with the graphics is important because it's more accessible across the board, like around the world. People don't have to buy like a high-end PC to be able to play and stuff like that. Look at games like Minecraft and Roblox. So Cornucopia actually has a lot of elements similar to like Roblox, and it's massive. So it's I mean, I expect it to be a huge thing, and like how they describe it to be the third generation of gaming in a way. I believe they're right. Yeah, the blockchain is going to elevate gaming to the next generation. So really cool stuff.
And I think people originally might think like, oh well, gaming that has a blockchain underpinning or that has a crypto underpinning with NFT items and stuff, like has to be this clunky, like, you know, early 2000s flash game. But it's not like that, right? It's just a one other mechanic at the base layer that helps fuel the economy of the game. It adds a whole new element to it.
I think it's huge. Yeah, just everything that's happening crypto wise in gaming is like, it's almost like a pioneering stage of like, but it's weird because it's almost like going back a step to like what you said. It kind of looks like these really early 2000s games, but it's like so much more advanced. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and it'll take time to catch up to what people might be used to with these really like complex, like, you know, in the Solana ecosystem, you have that Star Atlas game. That's a roadmap that's years and years away because there's just so much stuff that they're going to build. And so it's like, you know, eventually the technology is going to catch up to the vision around what these games are going to look like and what the ecosystems are going to look like.
Yeah, because there's no way to run a full AAA graphics type game like that on web. Like there's no chance that that's going to happen. Like amazing preview they put out though, I want to say.
Well done. Really well done. I'm super excited about it, you know, but it's like, it requires patience to realize that vision. It's going to take some time.
Somebody I know got they were just signing up for like random whitelists and stuff, right? Like you do sometimes. And they got an accidental whitelist in Star Atlas and they didn't know what it was. And then they saw their account the next day and it was like 35K and they only put like a few $100s into it. And they're like, what the hell is this? They thought it was a total mistake. So they sold it all. And then it just like shot through the roof. It's like, oh no.
Yeah. Wow.
It's kind of funny. That. But yeah, it's just like my point in saying like it shoots through the roof is that it's so cool that it just stands, like crypto gaming just stands on its own, you know, apart from the rest of the ecosphere. And I think that's really cool, you know, that it's still tied into this like regular thing that everybody loves. And like, just like Sean or you or myself use it to de-stress in our regular life, you know, because I think crypto is stressful for all of us.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
Major understatement. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of stuff that's outside of your control in the space. And you know, I'm also torn in to an extent because it's like, do I want now this whole other part, like this whole other thing I like doing, to be in a sense all about crypto also?
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
it seems to be trending that way.
Just for the open world stuff, yeah, the play to earn. So like Cornucopias and then like Network, same thing, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Metaverses. I mean,
yeah, I've set those two guys up to try and get a port so you can
yeah,
switch back and forth. Yeah, that was
that's
totally
got
a
to happen.
selfish thing I tried to set up for them.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'm in for both of them, but I think you're right on just like the setup and how it looks, and like I think the design elements and stuff of those games really makes a huge deal, and like how they build their worlds and all these like UX elements they put in to make sure everybody's having a good time and it really flows well is like
Hmm.
is huge. I mean, I don't know, like one of the games in my past that I thought had like really great layout and flow and everything was the whole like original Spyro series, the three of them that they just
Hmm.
remade them I think 2 years ago, the Reignited trilogy, which I play often.
Mhm.
But it's like one of my childhood wonderful games. It's just like it flowed really well, colors were great, the animations for the time were, perfect, storyline was good, but even just like the level design and stuff was fantastic, and it all just was very like cohesive, and I think that's a reason why like that kind of those types of games really expanded more than other ones at the same time, just
Yeah.
because the design elements.
That is the result of very great designers. I think, especially in that time, like UX probably wasn't really thought of, or was just
Yeah,
starting to get created. So, I mean, other examples of other games that I know that have very good like user experience or UX mechanics that don't necessarily have a UX team is Overwatch. That's one of them. They
yeah,
just have really like, I mean, Blizzard just has really great designers, and they're able just to do, they can make phenomenal games. So that, I mean, that's one thing that comes to mind when you mentioned maybe older games like Spyro, which I would say Spyro. I played the remake, the trilogy. It it ruined my childhood. Like it doesn't hold up. It doesn't hold up as well. I remember having so much fun, and then I played the remake, and it's like, okay,
yeah,
this is, I've had my fill. Like I played for an hour, but it doesn't hold
yeah.
up quite as well.
Yeah.
Something that I actually didn't like on the redesign of that game was they changed the voice actors. Obviously, they couldn't get the exact same people, but they changed the voice actors on some of them, like the cadence of speech and the I don't know, the attitudes that some of them had. Like I'll say specifically Hunter in the second Spyro game, they changed his, and the original guy that played him was like this, cocky badass kind of thing, and then the next guy was like this wussy wimp, character that they played. And I'm like, it totally changes the aspect of these characters
Really,
interacting. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
I
I'm
didn't
gonna
catch
let you
that, to
guys
be
talk
honest.
for half a second. I'll be right back. This is unprofessional, but I gotta go grab an ice pack because my computer's overheating.
Oh well.
Oh, no
That's
worries,
fine.
man.
All right. Well,
Well, Sean, it's our party now, buddy.
yeah. What should we talk about? I
I
guess
mean,
what's top of mind for you? Anything come to
I
mind for you?
think philosophically, I think in gaming and in crypto, like there's this, I guess, sort of paradigm that I think matches up where the most expert user experience is not always about just like how something looks and like maybe how it can be represented so it's intuitive, but also how you can make something with many layers and stratified sort of deep components that you don't have to learn up front to start using it. So
Mhm.
like in a game like, I mean, like Animal Crossing, you can play that mindlessly and not try and do anything and still have fun. But if you really want to take it seriously, like there's all these mechanics and things you can learn and do if you really put a little bit of extra effort into learning it. And I think that's expert design because it makes the game fun for casual and like obsessive, gamers that really want to dive in and learn everything. And I think the same thing goes for like, crypto wallets, protocols, and all sorts of other things. Like if you can make it accessible, but also, um, you know, uh, attainable for you to do all these crazy things if you're an expert, I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, those are very good points. I know we're trying to keep it casual here, so I don't want to talk about GeroWallet. But
Yeah.
I will just say, like, I mean, that's
You do
pretty
your
much hit the
plug.
nail.
Throw
You
your
hit the
plug in
nail on
there.
the head with what we're try to do is be accessible, but also provide the features for experts as well. Let's move on.
Yeah. Now that we've
Get
now that
away
we've
from
hit that
business.
one. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you can tell, it's like you spend, I don't know what, 12, 16 hours a day doing the same thing. You're like, oh, we got to talk about something else. Jeez.
Right.
Okay.
Oh man. I know. It's like it's so easy to come back. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to apologize a little bit to the what 25 or so people that are watching at the moment. It's a lower turnout than I was hoping for, but that's all good. That's because my stream on the side here is not showing chat or anything like that. I can't really answer questions that might be coming up, so sorry about that. I'll try and get it fixed for next time, but I don't know. We still got another 20 minutes or so to keep chatting about randomness here.
It's a learning process. By
it is learning
podcast
process.
5, you'll have it nailed down. So
Hopefully by podcast. This is only number 2.5. I had a pilot and then 2 more after, but this is the first one on YouTube with like streaming software and other things. So this is pretty exciting, and I had to go buy a nice webcam and for other reasons. So now I look professional, I look good. And now I got my ice pack under my computer, so I'm not losing frames anymore. So that's good.
There you go. You got to keep that CPU cool.
Oh my God, this Dell laptop, just the worst design. There's no vents, there's no air, anything. The whole case is supposed to be the heatsink, and it's just it overheats
not
like
gonna
crazy.
Fly.
Yeah, it doesn't fly very well. It limits itself like crazy, but so no gaming, which is good for me on this thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a good way to maintain productivity. I mean, and speaking of that, like one game that I really want to play, and I've been like following it and kind of like waiting for it, and I was like almost hoping that it would be underwhelming, and naturally it's like the most highly rated game in recent history. That game Deathloop, that's on PS5. Like I saw that game, I'm like, I know that's gonna be fun. Like that's gonna be cool. Like the vibe, it gives me like the first BioShock vibes, where it's just like, this is amazing. I know I want to play this, but I wouldn't even dare buy it because I know that if I buy it, it's gonna suck me in.
Yeah, I hear you. I get that way with a lot. Like it's something like that too. Like it's very story driven games, like super good design on the story. Like that's huge. Yeah, you don't put it down at all, really. You know it's done.
I could very well see it be game of the year. I feel like it's the most innovative of any game that I've seen come out this year, and it's like a roguelike. BioShock, I guess, is kind of how I.
That's sweet.
I see it anyway.
I haven't done that. I mean, I think the last game that really got me sucked into it, that like I'll just play through every single tiny aspect of it, is The Witcher 3. When I played that, just amazing world building. I know it did win Game of the Year when it came out.
Yeah.
But like it has all these little things like side quests and little things that you can go and grab out in the world, just little caches of treasure. And I did every single bit of that before I ended the game. And I could have ended the game like probably 60 hours earlier, but I wanted to see absolutely everything. Like that's another thing I think about is when like designers, when you buy this game, they've worked for forever on it, but like there might be a whole bunch of designers and they only work on one tiny area of the game. It's like, I appreciate this game that I've bought, and everything that's went into it. I want to, show that I have seen everything that this person has worked on and these people have worked on. And that's why this is big open world games. I want to, pay tribute to those people by like really appreciating what they've done for the game instead of just skipping over half the world, Yeah, the details are fun. Yeah. I get super sucked into Assassin's Creed games the same way, like big open world collectible type games. I just like everything. I just want to do it all, and it sucks my soul, but I like it,
Yeah, those are fun. I mean, I think the only criticism I could lay towards the Assassin's Creed games, even though like I really like the historical elements of them, is that once you understand the combat mechanics, you're just you're OP. You cannot lose. Like, okay, give me 50 enemies at once. I'll just counter everybody. And I'll win.
Yeah. I think the earlier ones were harder to manage. Later on, it got easier, and I didn't really like that. And like the sort of realistic elements kind of went away with the Assassin's Creed games, where it's like before you could only jump about 8 feet forwards. Now you can jump about 20 feet forwards, and you kind of float through the air to the next building. Or if you fell off a big tall building, you would die. Now it's just like, and then you keep running. Like it's as much as unrealistic as it was to begin with, it's like extra more so now. And
that was jarring.
Yeah, now I like to I do feel more, challenge and care for a game if it actually has that little bit of element of needing to worry about what you're doing, So personally,
Yeah, games are much easier nowadays than they used to be. Like
yeah.
going back and trying to play Nintendo or Super Nintendo, those games are much more difficult.
Yeah.
So, like that's what made real gamers back
Yeah. Original Game Boy Battletoads. That game. That game,
Battletoads are great.
I think it's still like considered one of the hardest games of all time, right? Because you die, you're all the way back to the beginning of the game at any point.
Well, that was the crazy part before the save game, right? Like before you could stop and like come back to it later. I mean, as a kid, I remember that vividly. Like you get 30 seconds further than the last time and you're like, yeah, this is amazing. Because you don't have unlimited retries from like the last checkpoint,
Yeah.
Just have the codes you have to punch in if you get to a certain level.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's like I feel like things in gaming world have progressed so far in our like lifetimes. Like it just, I mean, I don't mean to like age ourselves there, but even with just like 15 years, right? Like to me, that's half my lifetime at this point, and it's like the amount that's changed is just it's insane, But I remember in the very room that I'm sitting in now when I was a kid, it's like over on a desk over there, like one of the earliest games I would have played was like Oregon Trail, and like on a really, really old Mac. Or Apple computer. Sorry, not a Mac yet. Is an Apple computer.
Apple II.
An Apple II. It's just like tiny little tube screen, just big hunking machine, And but it's it's just like one like 8-bit kind of style is so good. But like even then, like great storylines and stuff, and it's really solid. I know they remade it like a zillion times since then, but like that's one of my. But like it goes from there to like hyper realistic games now, and like choose your own ending type games. Like what was the one? His model, like maybe you guys can help me. It's called Chicago or Boston or something like that. You're like a robot and you're making your Detroit. There we go.
Oh yeah. Detroit. What is the rest of it? There's more.
Yeah, it has something else to it. But anyway, like you're a robot, and the main guy is an actual actor. And they modeled the thing after him. It looks exactly the same. Even his mannerisms are the same, and like it has a zillion different endings to it depending on what you do with each character. And it's just like that's crazy to me. Like to go from Oregon Trail or like Number Munchers, like way back and come to what we're at now with like Detroit or even the new Battlefield games and stuff. Like it's just so hyper realistic in graphics. I mean, that's pretty cool.
I mean, the story is key. Like now, as you got more capacity to put more into one, at the time it was like one disc. Now just like, oh, you want a 200 gigabyte game? No problem. Throw a new SSD in your machine. They could just put a whole like 5 movie series into one game.
Yeah, I forgot about having multiple discs for a game. I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
You have like your expansions.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Final Fantasy VII. I think at least 3 discs, maybe 4 discs for that game. So
yeah, the biggest one for me, I think, was 4 or 5 discs, and that was called Legend of Dragoon.
Dragoon. That game's so great. That's a great game. I hope they remake that one.
That would be a great one. But it was like. Yeah, I think that was like a 4 or 5 disc game, like huge. I remember that, like the pack it came in was like this thick. I'm like, what the hell is that? It's like that, like just for the discs, it was that thick, and then you had all the promo materials. But yeah, that was a good one too. My I want to share some all-time favorite games. We'll each do one. My all-time favorite game, which for some reason is not working anymore on my old PS2 over there, is called Tomba 2. I don't know if you guys ever. You know Tomba? Wow.
I'm aware of it.
I haven't played it.
It was like a PS2 game, wasn't it?
Yeah, PS2 game. So it had a version 1, which is like a top-down type of game, and it was really good. Well, it wasn't fully top-down. It was more like 2D, but still just 2D flat, kind of side-scroller-ish. And then the next one was like, I feel like ahead of its time. It had 3D, low poly, But it was 3D world where like you could get to the background, and the camera would switch to a new area when you needed to go to it, and like totally like ahead of its time, but like it never got that much traction. But like the story on it was so good, the different areas of the world were so good that like it was the first game I ever played that you had to do backtracking, right? So like stuff in the very first area was non-usable until way later in the game. And then so you had to, in order to get that thing later on, you unlocked things in the first area, like you had to go get weapons or something later on, or defeat a certain enemy for some area to clean up, and then you could go and collect this other thing that then helped you out later on. That was the first game that was very like intertwined that way within itself, within the story and everything. I loved it, so but they never made number 3. I was sad about it. And I have it on my PS2 over there, but I think my smart TV is upgraded itself to not being able to care about RGB cables anymore. So
bummer.
Yeah.
I think it's a rare game actually. I've never actually played it, but I know I've seen it. But I think it's like because I kind of collect retro games, and I believe that's somewhat.
Do it. Get it.
I should. I guess I've never, like, whenever I go into stores and stuff like that, I haven't seen it. But
no, it's super rare to find an actual copy of it. So this was a rip from like when that was still available. So like, yeah, I've probably had that disc for 15 to 18 years, something like that. And it's just been sitting basically in the PlayStation so it doesn't get dusty and dirty. Like,
is it the very, very first one for PlayStation?
The first one was for PlayStation. The second one was for PlayStation 2. And
nice.
Yeah, I've just got my PS2 sitting there, old PS2, and that's the only game I have. And video, like when I pulled it out to play, I forgot that we had to have memory cards back when, right? Yeah. So I had to find these old memory cards in order to boot it up. And
they were like what, like 1 meg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could play it, you just couldn't shut the PlayStation off.
Yeah. For any viewers that don't know, I'm gonna grab it right now and show you.
I actually think I found a stack. I found like a stack of memory cards from my PS2 and like old game cartridges for Game Boys in like a box yesterday or 2 days ago.
That's awesome. So this is a memory card for PS2. You have to plug this in because that's where all your saves would go. And if this wasn't there, you could not go. You couldn't even play the game at all. And if you lost this, you're screwed. And one of the cool things was that if you played like certain games, Tombow is actually one of them, but I know they did the same thing with Spyro and other things like Ratchet and Clank. And if you had old saves on an old card and you plugged it into the new one for the new game, you'd get bonuses. Like it's like pre-launch secret bonuses for playing the original game. But yeah, like I totally completely forgot about these things until I wanted to play that game, and I had to go and dig these out of storage just to play it. And it's crazy. But like I think that goes back to our design and like UX element is like something that's that good that really sticks with you. Like you're willing to put the effort into making sure that you can play that old thing when there's a zillion other games out right now, but you still want to go back to that same older one.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Sean.
Well, I was going to say, who wants to go next? I don't know.
You
can go ahead.
Go, Sean. It's all you, buddy. I'll go after you.
Yeah. So my all-time favorite game is Super Mario Brothers 3 for Nintendo.
Solid.
Grew up playing that game, playing it with my older brother and my mom. So it's like just stuck with me through life, and it's one of those games where you can go back to it and it's still great. I've tried to go back and play a few games for like PlayStation or PS2, and it's like those graphics for some reason don't hold up very well. But Nintendo, the 8-bit, like the Nintendo games, a lot of them do hold up pretty well. They're still fun, especially SMB3. And I don't know. Yeah, it's just like it's kind of like how you have those good feel-good meals or something, like a cheeseburger or something like that. Yeah, like that's how I feel about Super Mario Brothers. It's like you can always
the
go back
cheeseburger of games.
It just makes you feel warm, makes you feel good.
Yeah, especially when you have this like nostalgic ties to like family and a time when you had no responsibilities in life and other than just playing games and liking it.
Totally
wasn't used for anything other than enjoyment, not trying to get away from your stressful crypto life. It's just like I just want to have some fun
from your job. No, I mean, I would say probably the Nintendo world for me too. I would say probably my favorite game, like the game that I would always go back to, like that always was always fun for me was Super Smash at
Oh,
Melee on the N64. Like there were other games that were really good. Don't get me wrong. Like big throwback to like Star Wars Dark Forces, you know, like things like that.
solid.
But Super Smash just always fun. And no matter how much they like, if they upgrade the graphics, they add new characters, whatever, the mechanics of the game
Still
have been the
stayed the
same
same.
forever because they're just so good. And it's
Yeah.
just mindless fun.
Yeah, even in the brand new games, it's still the same mechanics, right?
Yeah,
Like for the
same
Smash
thing.
games, right?
Pretty similar, yeah.
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 People still prefer Melee. Like that game is it's
Balanced.
like, yeah, I think that's the argument, is it's balanced, and people kind of are stubborn and
Yeah.
will not want to move away. And they still use the C stick, still use the GameCube controller, you
Yeah.
know, and through many generations of Nintendo consoles, still revert
Yeah.
back to that GameCube controller.
I have a
Melee.
I have a Switch and the new, I guess, new-ish Super Smash, and I still play once in a while. But that's one thing I like instantly bought. They have like the third-party like GameCube style controller. It just it feels wrong to play it with like Joy-Cons, you know. So
I agree.
I bought a GameCube controller.
It's not the
Those
same.
things are
I
so
completely agree.
chunky.
They are chunky.
They're
I'm like,
huge.
whoa, the ergonomics here, or lack
Yeah.
thereof, you know.
The one controller I would say lack of ergonomics is the original Xbox controler. What a beast.
The Duke.
Yeah.
You could build a house with those.
Yeah, freaking massive. Like the new ones, not so bad. Easy, you know,
Yeah.
fits in a hand.
Those
That
are
one
good.
was like, bleh, like you couldn't even get small children and have to have 5 hands to use the thing.
I think they
It's-
got rid of it pretty quickly. They
Mm.
went down to that slimmer version.
Yeah.
Whenever I pull it out of the collection, it's hilarious. Like has a huge Xbox symbol in the
Yeah.
middle. It's like this the symbol alone is just like the size of a Joy-Con.
Yeah. And it's like it's purely just for branding too, because they weren't even usable at that point, right? It wasn't even a button yet. You know? Like,
Oh yeah, just branding, yeah.
yeah, it's just branding on like it for aesthetic purposes. Like, let's take up half the controller for aesthetics. It's like, you already bought
Why
the
not?
thing. I don't think you need to keep branding. Like,
Yeah.
but those are great. Yeah, Halo series is another one that I'm just like all about
Yeah.
all the time. You know, when they when they brought out the anniversary, and then especially Halo 2 remastered, like huge, like so good, looks amazing. The storyline, massive. You know, like I'm excited for the next one to come out. I mean, I know it's like 2 years late at this point, but they brought it down, like the graphics down, and I know there was a lot of backlash about that because they were trying to. I remember their whole thing was that they were trying to bring back the original feel of the original Halo at the time for a new generation. I'm like, okay, I can get behind that, but the new generation is also used to a lot better graphics at this point, you know. So you got to give them something. But yeah, they'll come up with it, and it's kind of like an open world one. I think the new one coming out. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I know when they put out that teaser before, people were upset about the graphics. I didn't really feel the same way. I felt, I mean, yeah, they could have. I guess I would have expected better graphics, but at the same time, I would have enjoyed the game for the gameplay and stuff like that, and it was
and the story and everything.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the Halo series is probably the series I've wasted the most amount of my life on.
Yeah.
Combat Evolved and H2 and H3.
Yeah.
Very, very, very.
Especially the first 3.
Yeah, I'm a very competitive player, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever get in like competitive Halo play when you were younger?
Yep.
Nice.
I did a lot of tournaments actually. One time I stole the TV from home, and I got in a lot of trouble for that because it was back when in the LAN days where you have to take your own equipment.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, "Don't take the TV." Well, I did it anyway.
Yeah.
And I got in a lot of trouble for that. So and then
talking about like LAN parties, right? Like that's a huge community aspect of gaming that just doesn't exist anymore, right? Like
I wish it did.
online gaming wasn't a thing. You had to be in the same room with everyone. You had to share the same TV and bitch at people for screen looking.
Yeah.
Screen peeking. Oh man.
Yeah. Screen peekers. Don't be a stream. Now it's like stream sniping. That's the equivalent now.
Pretty
stream
much.
sniping. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean, even like I was really into the like Pokemon games,
Yeah.
go like, I need a trade. All right, I gotta time that because I need to go to my buddy's house and I need to get the like connector and link it
Yeah.
up and actually do it. Yeah. It's just like different times.
We'd do that at recess at school.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go
We used to
outside
get
for
in so
10
much
minutes.
trouble.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like you had to like hide in the back corner around the school to do your illegal Pokemon trading. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it felt
That
like
was
it
what
anyway.
kids did back then to like,
Yeah.
shirk the rules.
And cards too, Pokemon cards. You had to
Oh
like
yeah.
you
I
couldn't
was
do
gonna
that in the
say that.
classroom. You had to be
No.
outside for that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what's so bizarre to me. Is like back then, it was like if you had any form of outside anything, cards, games, anything, it was like confiscated. And you
Yeah.
may or may not get it back. Now it's like, oh, you have your phone. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. It's totally different. Like even when I was just in high school before, you could not have your phone on you, and this was I think right around when the first iPhone ish was coming out, like late to early 2000 kind of things. And you weren't allowed. If you got caught texting a little bit, that was it. They would take your phone away. And now I think it's totally normal. Like everyone just is on their phone in the middle of the class, and like you're not allowed to take their phone away. I'm like, what kind of baloney is that? That's insane to me.
I wouldn't know. I haven't been to high school in like 15 years. So.
Yeah, I know. I never mind.
Yeah.
It's been about 15 years.
It's been a while.
But like my uncle's a teacher, and I talk to him often. He goes, "Oh yeah, these stinking kids on their phone." I'm like, "What do you mean on their phone? Just take it away." And he's like, "No, we can't. School board
Not
says we're not
allowed
allowed
anymore.
to because
Yeah.
now it's taking away their freedom." And I'm like, "Huh?"
They're emergent. I mean, they don't. Yeah.
The emergency
I guess-
contact. Yeah.
Yeah, and stuff like that can't get a hold of their parents, and who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
all kinds of things.
as salty as I am that I was treated differently back then than people are treated now. I actually like totally get that. If someone tried to take my stuff, it'd be like, what do you mean you're going to take my stuff? What authority do you have to take my stuff? Petulant kid stuff. But
I get that when you're in university, like you're paying for the classes, so it's
Yeah,
your
yeah.
own fault if you suck. But
Yeah,
in high school, it's a little bit different story. It's like that's government funded. No, you're on government time now, but that's just
true.
not how it is. But totally different generation. Like, hey, maybe I'm all for it. Like, I think it's really good to adopt like any kind of new cultural activity and stuff like that. I know a lot of people talk about like their kids playing games on their iPads and stuff, and it's rotting their brains. I'm like, no, I think it's like teaching them for what the generation is now. You have to know how to use your iPads and phones and stuff like that.
Totally.
And if you can learn it earlier, why not? Like if I knew how to,
Yeah.
if I was able to learn that stuff earlier, I think it would be great. But like without that, you're not going to be able to function in today's world, right? So
Well,
Yeah.
you go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say they've been saying that for years, but the ones that defied it, now we're the blockchain generation. So, it's
Yeah.
a good thing that we were using those technologies and learning and
is that the next generation,
experimenting.
Sean?
Well,
Is Generation Z now, and then is Generation Blockchain next?
well, I mean, like just being involved with technology and computers and stuff like that kind of paved the way to be interested in blockchain and building on it and stuff like that. So I think, if they were to block us on those things, then, we would be still using, paper textbooks and stuff like that. We would, it's about pushing. That's a stretch, but it's about pushing the envelope and being interested in those things and not holding people back, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like stopping short of being like prohibitive and saying, oh, you can't do that because it unilaterally is bad for you. Instead it's like, use the iPad, but let's put you on games that actually challenge you, right? Like as a kid, I was all over like the tactile Scrabble because I was a huge reader. And like I didn't have much like access to games like on a consistent basis early on. So like my thing was reading. I would just always read.
Yeah.
And I think like even to this day, Scrabble is a cool game that I can just like flex mental muscles on and do so in a casual way. So I think if kids find games that are like puzzle games and things that really get you thinking critically, it can be of huge benefit.
Boggle was my one like that for me.
Boggle, yeah.
You remember, John? Have you played Boggle? You look like you're dumbfounded over there.
I mean, I know of Boggle, but I never really got into. I'd say I was more into Scrabble.
Yeah, I like
Scrabble.
Scrabble too, but like Boggle, like I remember they came out with like travel versions of it.
Yeah.
And in my youth, I was like highly competitive gymnast, and we would go out to, traveling all over, well,
Mhm.
the world, I guess, for competitions. We'd take Boggle with us. We could play it on the plane,
Mhm.
or just in the hotel rooms and stuff. And I thought that like that was really awesome because it's like educational as well as just simple, and
Yeah.
fun. And highly contestational as well. Like we'd we'd really get on. That's not a word. No, you look
Yeah.
it up. And someone would have to like carry a dictionary around with
Yeah.
them. You're like, no,
Yeah.
it totally is. So that was yeah. I love this those like quick, easy games, and I think that there's a lot of games now that I think that that's the caveat there. Hashoshi is making sure that the games are like useful and educational, not just mental garb. You know?
Yeah. Agreed. Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are in many cases games, whether we're talking like games like Scrabble that are like basically vocab practice, and then also
Yeah.
games that are like puzzles and physics and stuff like that. Those things teach you in a way that doesn't bore you to death really valuable problem solving skills and teaches your
Exactly.
brain to work a certain way that I think is really valuable if you can learn how to harness that and apply it to other things,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, there's a lot more of that when I was a kid for sure than I've seen now. Like I said, even Oregon Trail was a good one like that, like learning how to strategically plan yourself around different events that might come up. And
Hmm.
Number Munchers was all about, math and journey and different stuff. Like
Hmm.
I liked those things. And then I got into the garb games like Commander Keen and Lemmings. Like those are great
Lemmings,
ones.
yeah.
Lemmings is great,
Lemmings.
but like definitely doesn't teach you anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than how to kill off a bunch of little dudes.
Well, I think there's still some aspects, even those types of games that you can learn and help like build skills in your brain and stuff like that. Especially when you're thinking about problem solving. So
Yeah, yeah.
um,
No, like problem solving for sure. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
across the board. So even if even a game maybe like Grand Theft Auto, which is far from educational, but there's absolutely certain aspects of it that you could say are um, life lessons, or
Yeah.
there's aspects of problem solving within the game for sure. So
I think a lot of life lessons in that game. Yeah, like don't murder everyone you see, don't steal cars.
Yeah.
Blowing up will probably make you actually dead, that kind of thing. But
Basic
no, I agree.
rules.
I think one of the hardest things in like
yeah,
the most recent one, like GTA 5, is actually like driving or flying the planes and the helicopters. Like that's really difficult in those games. Like the controls are so hard,
Mhm.
and to figure that out, I think yeah, that's just a way of like fine motor skills even, and problem
exactly.
solving. So like yeah, there's always areas to benefit, from anything, and like have those transferable skills to other things, like I know Hashoshi, you're actually a developer, and like Sean, you've done a lot of stuff, that has led you to this point in your career in crypto. Like me, not at all. Like my entire education is medical, like medical and sports based, and
Yeah.
scientific research. It has nothing to do with crypto, but a lot of there's a lot of transferable skills in communications and problem solving and critical thinking, that allows me
Mhm.
to be very successful in this position. And I've actually met a lot of people like that in crypto where their entire backgrounds are not. They're all high level professionals in something else,
Yeah.
but able to transfer those skills. It's not like anyone can do it, but you don't have to be a blockchain person unless you need to be a coder, in which case, obviously,
Yeah,
can't run the projects on people that don't know how to code properly.
Yeah, but you need a good, well-rounded team
Yeah.
for anything. But like that's the main thing is you can have a really fire product, game or whatever else, but if it's not accessible or you can't communicate it, nobody's gonna even try it or see it or care about it. And if
Yeah.
they do, you're super lucky.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's total luck. Yeah, I
totally.
think talking about design elements on gaming, Sean, when can we expect a nice stag game coming out? Because I want to see that thing running through the forest.
maybe we could get something going with Josh and Cornucopias. I know
Yeah,
like GeroWallet is going to be involved with that. We're
so
going
so, so are
to
we.
you know, well, GeroWallet is going to be in the game, so maybe maybe there can be some aspect. I know there's going to be like land for sale. Maybe GeroWallet can like purchase some of that land and do something cool, especially with like playable game with the stag and stuff like that.
Can I get like a Charli3 cowboy robot riding your stag?
You absolutely will be able to do those things in the game. Like there's going to be purchasable NFTs, and any artist can come in and create whatever they want to and put it into the game. So
we've talked to them about having a Charli3 saloon, where like the bartender is like an animatronic Charlie, and
it's like a Westworld saloon.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was talking to Rob, their CEO, and he's like, oh, so like Westworld. So I'm like, yeah, exactly, because they have like an old West area of their game, and I'm like, I want a Charli3 saloon. And then Sean, we were talking about putting like a well out front to do like well NFT type stuff for our clean water initiative thing, so people can go towards that. And like once a well is built, it's built in the game and it's like usable for other functions. And I'm like, that's pretty sweet. So it's like world building.
That would be cool. Like people could like walk up to the well and like flip a coin into it for like a good wish, but it would be like
1 ADA.
It would be like 1 ADA. You're like donating.
They're paying, like they're earning stuff when they're playing the other game, so they could come in and do that, as a charity thing. And I was just thinking they could have like a progress bar on it to like, funded a full well, and like then it gives returns or something, to the people who have donated. Like I really want to. I talked to Network about the same idea, and they said but for I talked about riding having the stag as a mount as well, because they told me they were working with you, Sean. And they're like, we're kind of built. They said we are building in like horses and stuff. So it's like, at the stag.
Attainable.
Come on.
We need a GeroWallet wildlife preserve for sure.
There you go.
Oh man, those are great ideas.
You have little bunnies and stuff running around, bunnies.
All of the woodland creatures.
Yeah, I love that. I want to say, guys, we're 50 minutes here. I think that's a pretty solid time.
Yeah.
I think we could, like, as always, when you get a couple people in the room that have good synergy, you can just kind of keep talking for forever.
Yeah, you can talk for hours.
Yeah, but I think that's a good time. Let it be digestible for people, and I'd love if everyone could give your comments on the Giro side or on Hashoshi's channel or my own, or in the comments on this video. Just like, how do you think it went? Still gaining feedback, and for the next ones, we'll probably have these guys on at other times to continue on other topics. And that I would really appreciate any comments. And if you want to see these guys back again on future podcasts, please let us know, and we'll snatch them up.
Right on.
All right.
Awesome.
Great hanging out, guys.
Good day.
See you later.